Here on KashCraft, we do weird and wacky things, and I mean a lot of things. So, in my mission to collect all the armor trims in the game, it has been a goal of mine to make a friend with each adventure. And let me tell you, I've made friends alright. Lots and lots of friends. But my friends have nowhere to live. So today, I'm gonna make a home for all of my friends as we create the petting zoo. Want to see how it all turns out? Let's get started. Hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode of KashCraft. My name is KashMuney, and this is episode 34. We've been hard at work the past couple episodes doing the exterior of the circus with our carnival and the back. But today we are going to be filling in this half of our exterior. And what is that, you may ask? Well, it is going to be a petting zoo. We are going to be diving right into this. And that is because we are transforming this entire area. When I did our carnival, this has 18 different attractions, which turned out amazing, but that was the biggest episode I've ever made of KashCraft. And I'm pretty sure the petting zoo has a bigger space, so yeah. So to get going, I'm using a bit of help from like Matica and just getting the boundaries of everything set up. To be honest, this is the most important part of this build, even though it looks the most boring. It helps ensure our spacing's right and everything actually makes sense. Like, we don't want animal enclosures that are massive and others that are teeny tiny. Okay, so let's see what we're looking at. So it looks like a mess of wool right now, but this blue is going to be our circus fence like we have right here. The yellow wool is going to be our paths, much like our carnival, and the pink lines show the boundaries of each of our animal enclosures. And this feels so much better than an open field. An open field's like a blank canvas. This tells us, you know, where our background's going to be, where each of our details are going to be, and helps us just understand this space better. It's a lot to do, but it's going to look amazing. We're first going to work on our paths, which I have a bunch of blocks right here, so let's do that. Why don't we go ahead and roll a quick time lapse? Well then, we got a lot of paths in, but they really help define the area. Yeah, if we just look, that does so much for making this feel like an actual part of the circus versus, you know, the blank field it was before. All right, so anyway, we have all of our exhibits to do now. Like I said, we have 9 of them to do, so we should get started with those. Each of our exhibits is going to be very unique, but we're going to have a few common features between them. For example, we're going to have the fences between exhibits be the same, and then we're going to have some little walls separating the public from our actual animals. And then we'll have a little barrel for people to feed our animals. And then of course we can have our back wall, or I guess our circus perimeter wall, if you'd like to call it that. And there we go. There's our basic pen setup. We just want some consistency between our enclosures, so, you know, they actually feel like they're part of the same circus. Anyway, what are we going to put in here? I am so glad you asked. It is going to be our sniffer exhibit. This is one of our mobs that we have not gotten through our armor trim adventures. We have 6 armor trim adventure mobs, but 9 spaces to fill in the petting zoo, so we need 3 more mobs. I imagine we just have some sniffers, you know, sniffing around. You give them a treat or something, they come up and say hi. They're a very peaceful mob and perfect for this. With a nice landscape, we can then add in some little trees. There we have some trees. We can just add a couple details here and there on the ground. And there we go. There is our first exhibit, the sniffers. Don't worry, we'll grab our sniffers in a bit. We're just making their enclosures right now. We're going to move all our animals in at once because you know how transporting mobs goes. It's usually a nightmare. Anyways, we can get started on our next enclosure. This one is going to be for a mob that I honestly forgot was in the game. I might have interacted with this mob all of 2 times. This mob lives in a relatively dry environment, which is home to a pretty particular kind of wood. Otherwise, the biome is typically flat and grassy. It will give this animal lots of places to hide if its normal place isn't enough. Can you guess what animal this is going to be for? Well, we have a savanna right here, but the mob that is unique to the savanna biome is the armadillo. This is yet another one of our non-armor trim adventure mobs, but we are going to have a bunch of armadillos and they're going to be super cute. Although, like I said, I kind of forgot they existed. I just don't come up across them very much, and I don't have dogs, so no need for the dog armor, even though it is absolutely adorable. Okay, but we have our next mob. This is going to be for our ocelots. That's a very jungle-based biome, so we are going to do a sort of jungle. I do want to talk about some of the story that's guiding us here. So as we talked about before, this is a traveling circus. It comes maybe once a year, sets up for a few weeks, a few months, and then tears down and moves on to the next place. That presents a bit of a challenge for our petting zoo. We want it to feel tailored color to each of our animals, but it's kind of hard to have like a mountain for, I don't know, our goats over there. So because of that, we have to get a bit creative and try and make our petting zoo fit with the story. You know, keep the exhibits unique to each animal, but make it realistic. So to do that, we need to borrow some tricks from theater. The idea is that we have props in each of our animals' exhibits, these main features that can pretty easily be taken down and moved to our next location of the circus. And those props can be anything from something like one of our booths to some like cardboard cutout of a design. With our exhibits so far, we have made trees, but they have this green wool to kind of show that synthetic nature. Basically, we're trying to take a Minecraft environment and make it look like it can be packaged onto a wagon or created pretty quickly with some shovels and a little bit of manual labor. So that's what we're going to be trying to accomplish with our petting zoo. Just make it look almost realistic, but not quite. As an example, we have a mimicry of a jungle temple, but if you go around the side, well, it has some stands propping it up. We can also make some fake jungle trees that look like they have these bases with the leaves sort of wrapped around them. Then we can make our floor, which we're going to make this natural because it was natural before our circus came and set up. And there we go. There is our fierce, slightly fake jungle for our ocelots. For all that talk of how the circus is traveling and these shows are temporary, I can't say that I've come up with a good explanation for this exhibit. This is going to be our nether theme attraction for our Strider, but I cannot for the life of me figure out how to make it make sense in the circus. I mean, quite literally, you have this otherworldly environment going on, so allow me to give my version of what's going on. Here's our kiddie pool with some colored water that is warmed by a water heater. We have a nice little canvas cover because our Striders don't like the rain. Then we'll have a giant rug covering the terrain. Then we can have some nice fake trees set up, and finally some nice prop plants scattered throughout. Let me know what you think of that interpretation of what this area is and how it fits into our story, but I think this is really cute. This is our first interactable attraction and is going to allow players to ride our Striders around. Our fifth enclosure is going to go right here, and it is going to mark our halfway point. For this one, it is going to be our goats. Hang on, let's get the basics built. Before you know it, we have ourselves this completed pen, and it looks very nice. But anyways, this is going to be our second edition of our 2D cutout. This nice little prop is going to be for our goat to use if they so wish. Plus it's meant to mimic a nice mountain to go with, you know, our mountain goats. From our basic mountain, we can make some smaller ones in the background, kind of like how we had a smaller temple in the background of our jungle. And once we get a couple hills in, we can then go in and just texture the ground. We just want to add some little mounds of stuff and make our ground feel, well, covered in snow. Also, for the record, all this snow is fake. We're literally right next to a big inferno, so yeah. Not sure what kind of fake snow they use, but it seems to be doing pretty good. So yeah, there's our wintry wander landscape, and it is looking amazing. I love how textured it is and how on the underside you can see some of the other structure. It kind of shows that whatever they're using for snow doesn't evenly disperse, and it creates this sort of mosaic going on. Oh, and how could we forget? We got to add our supports to the back. Don't want this thing tipping over at all. That'd be bad. So with that, we have 5 of our 9 displays done. Now we're on to our center enclosures, and these are going to be on the larger side compared to our side ones. They're quite literally going to be the main attractions for our petting zoo, so we want to make sure they feel that way. Right on the center boulevard of our circus, we're going to have a little sort of mural here, but we're not going to be creating that right now, so I am just setting up a sort of temporary wall thing. This is just meant to give us a boundary for our next little enclosure, which this one is going to be for our pandas. When people get to the petting zoo, we need them to fall in love with an animal right away, so having our panda here is perfect. And I actually have a fun idea for them. Our enclosure next door is going to be very aquatic themed, so we're going to take some of that water and just run it through the panda habitat. There we go. A little environment like this should work. And just following our stream, we can add some little details along the way. We're then going to go through and turn most of the ground into moss. To make our panda exhibit feel different from the ocelots, we're going to add a little Japanese archway. I'm not sure the name of it. We're going to make this kind of feel like a koi pond or some sort of like little Japanese garden. So we have our archway right here, and we're gonna have the water running in, running down, and out. We'll then plant some bamboo for our pandas because, you know, they gotta eat. Add some grass and other extra details. Lastly, we can go through and add our water. And there we go. There is one very cute panda exhibit. As we alluded to, our next exhibit is going to be a water exhibit. We're gonna have some axolotls, which are not part of our Armor Trim adventures, but they seem like great additions. The only issue is to make our pond we have to fill this in a little bit. I kind of forgot that we had an entire river we drained out underneath our circus. Although, what the heck? This looks so trippy. Like, we just have, oh, you know, our little walkway along our circus, and then bam, we just like drop way off. Anyway, we built 6 enclosures already. Why don't we get this next one built? And there we go. We have a nice little walkway along our pond, and we even added a little sort of parkour course to get to this island and, you know, get back. We have a little bit of everything. Some rocks on the shore, some seagrass and sea pickles to light this up, our nice island, some lily pads. Yeah, it's really cute, and I love it. Plus, it fits in very nicely with our nice array of enclosures. Now, if this enclosure was aquatic themed, this one is going to be pretty much the opposite of it. And that enclosure is going to be a desert. This is where our camel's going to go, and we have a nice little mesa and then a desert with our fake pyramid. And yeah, it's a really cute environment. This is going to be another interactable enclosure. You're going to be able to ride the camel around here, and yeah, I absolutely love it. And I know they've been out for a while, but the cactus flowers just look so good. Like, I love how they add color to this otherwise barren environment. Anyway, we are down to one more enclosure. It's crazy how we already have 8 done, but this one is actually my absolute favorite. It is going to be for our allies, and let me tell you, it is magical, it is mystical, it is everything. So why don't we do a quick time lapse as we build this last one? Let's go ahead and roll it. When I set out to build the circus, a major goal of mine was to learn how to tell stories through my builds. From the circus tent itself with its marvelous nature and our frames showing each adventure, to our performers with their dressing rooms and acts that show off their skills, and even our carnival with so many attractions and our petting zoo showing the story of each animal. I can't help but see the progress we've made in telling so many stories through the circus and making it really come to life. It's something I'm really proud of. Well, yeah, can you see why this is my favorite exhibit? I just love these colors. When I wanted to make the Alleys exhibit, I wanted it to just feel bright and magical. We have a very warm and colorful exterior, and when you go inside, it becomes much more cool, but still feels magical. It's kind of based on one of those bird cages or butterfly rooms at a zoo. You know, you walk into this enclosed room and it feels very naturey. I think my favorite part has to be the play between the cool colors and the warm colors. It just goes super well together and really creates a fantastic vibe. So yeah, that is all 9 of our animal enclosures. We just need to wrap up this space a little bit. For example, we need to light up our spaces. We can just hide some frog lights around our landscape, make it nice and easy for this to stay lit. There we go. All of our exhibits are much more lit up now. Then I need to add the food to each of our areas. So we have our pandas, our armadillos, which surprisingly eat spider eyes. I would not have guessed that. Our ocelots, which eat raw fish, camels with cactus. We can put all of our tropical fish in here. Now we can feed all of our animals. The next thing to do is add some little banners across our pathway. We have some of them going on here, so it's really just about copying these. Perfect. We have our little banners going across our park and some little trash cans scattered around. I think that's all we need to do for actual enclosures. Now we just need to do our terraforming along our water's edge. We can go ahead and add a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a dash of something, and finally a pinch of I don't know. And that gives us our completed coastline. It looks so nice that it's actually connected up. So yeah, I am super happy. And at this point, it's just about wrapping up the little miscellaneous tasks like doing the area between our tent and our petting zoo. And once we get that added, we can go over here and build the very last section of our fence. Very nice. And that means our petting zoo is completely built. Yes, there's still some empty space in unfinished areas at the very front, but this is going to be different from the petting zoo, and that's going to be a problem for future cache. But we still have one more thing to do today. We don't have any animals in here, so we need to go gather them up. For some mobs, it's very easy to get them into our habitats. We just have to place down some eggs. For other mobs, we can make use of our happy ghast. We just attach a lead to our boat, hop on our happy ghast, and attach that lead to the happy ghast, and yeah, we have a nice little aerial transport. I'm literally riding this giant marshmallow moving these pandas, and it is so easy. But once we get here, we just unclip it, our pandas drop down, we just gotta carefully remove our boat, and there we go. That was super easy and pain-free. We can grab our allies and run those over real quick. There we go, we got all of them inside, and we have a nice little double door system to keep them from escaping. So with all those mobs in, we have 7 of 9 exhibits filled. but we are still missing our armadillos and our camel. Our armadillos are pretty easy to grab. We just need to go to a savanna, pick 2 of them up, and bring the boat back. We can then bring them into their enclosure, and that's all. Easy enough, right? Well, our camel is not so easy, and actually it's downright impossible. So our original camel, who was named Clementine, we had to leave her in the desert because it was like 10,000 blocks away. And to make sure I wouldn't forget about her location, I wrote the coordinates down in a place I would not lose. And I'll let you take a guess about what happened to those coordinates. I lost them. Clementine's a loss to the world. So I need to go find another desert and bring a camel back. The past is in the past. Clementine is not coming back, so we have to deal with the consequences. Dang, this was super close, although it's a super small desert, and I am not seeing any camels. Oh, camel! There we go. Okay, good. We are very happy about that. Dang, camels actually have some pretty decent speed, especially with their little jump sort of thing. I'm impressed. I thought they were slow. You know, given that I thought we were gonna have to take a camel like 1,000 blocks through the nether, I am pretty happy with how this turned out. Of course, I do miss Clementine, but this could have been worse, I suppose. And while we might have lost Clementine, we can name our camel, and it is going to be Betty. But otherwise, that wraps up our petting zoo. I had so much fun building this. I feel like each of our exhibits really showcase what the animal was. My favorite's definitely the allays. I just love the colors going on and how weird of an environment it is. But, I mean, we have our goats, our striders, our camel. It's just so fun and breathe some actual life to the circus I did not have before. But we need to do our frame real quick. And there we go. There's a nice frame of what we did today in our petting zoo. But everyone, thank you so much for watching today. Truly, this was one of the most fun episodes to put together. It just makes our circus look so much more complete. And I love how we have like an actual busy town going on. This is what I imagined when I first set out to create this circus, and I am super, super proud of it. We just have a little bit more to do in some future episodes, but otherwise, once again, thank you all so much for watching, and have a great day. Guys, I'm having an inside thought. That's literally all my tools right there, and I have an inventory full of lava. I really just want to burn that.